Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Midday News. The headlines. President EDGAR LUNGU'S eligibility case back in court. UPND challenges PF General Conference. Details coming through after this commercial. Are you a qualified, impartial and professional journalist, news editor, video editor or newscaster? Camnet TV is looking for more professionals in the media industry. For more details, call 0962 965883 or send your details to our email info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel. And now the media news in detail. United Party for National Development UPND has given the ruling Patriotic Front PF 48 hours to reconvene its party convention in order to fulfill the constitutional requirement. UPND spokesperson Cornelius Mwita says failure by the PF to reconvene a convention will prompt them to take the matter before Constitution to block any member of Patriotic Front from filing in any candidate to participate in the forthcoming general elections. He says there was no ballot cast during the PF convention, hence that does not amount to an election but selection. He says the PF must hold a credible convention in order to fulfill the constitution provision to avoid being disqualified from contesting the polls.
A week is yet to elapse since the governing Patriotic Front held its party convention to put in place a new leadership in readiness for the August 12 general elections. The conference was led by President EDGAR LUNGU, who affirmed the PF's continuity beyond 2021, claiming that the party is commanding the support of many Zambians. According to the Zambian Constitution, Article 16, subsection C, a political party has the right to conduct primary elections for the selection of candidates. Just like other political parties, the PF believes it fulfilled the constitutional mandate, but the opposition United Party for National Development claims that the PF convention was not properly held. UPND spokesperson Cornelius Mwita has since given the ruling Patriotic Front 48 hours to reconvene a party convention or risks taking the matter to the Constitutional Court.
Failure to which we as UPND are taking this matter to the Constitutional Court to block the Patriotic Front from filing any candidates to participate in the elections for failure to hold a convention. A convention entails elections. Elections imply casting of votes and ballots. No votes or ballots were cast during the PF convention. We now have a situation where there are people who are in the MCC, member of Central Committee of PF, and there is a rebellion with the, some members saying, how come this one, like Honorable Kakoma, has just joined last week, he is now a member of the Central Committee. All those issues are because there was no election.
But in response, PF Media Director Sunday Chanda said Mr. Mwita's claims are baseless, further advising the UPND to produce its party constitution, which he said is dictatorial.
So we join the many Zambians that for many years and under different governments have challenged UPND to put its constitution in the public domain, or at least publish it in full, even on their own official Facebook page. What are they hiding? What are they ashamed of? Is it that bad? As bad as their plagiarized manifesto? So we challenge Mr. Cornelius Mwita to instead release the UPND party constitution. We are giving him 48 hours to release the UPND.
The substance of the counter-arguments, especially on holding of intra-party elections, can only be ascertained by the courts of law. For now, we can only wait and see. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
In other news, the Akafumba-led National Democratic Congress has preempted the Beans Chimbakambwili claims that he will spill about the United Party for National Development Alliance in order to seek allegiance to Patriotic Front. NDC Vice President Edward Mumbi has told a media briefing in Lusaka on Tuesday that Mr. Kambwili plans, among other things, accuse the UPND alliance of disregarding him when they form the next government. He says opposition will be implicated of allegedly trying to fire all civil servants and replace them with the Tongas and Loses, as well as would tamper with the hierarchy of the security wing's leadership. But Mr. Mumbi says the UPND alliance hold no such agenda other than progressive, inclusive development. Meanwhile, NDC President Joseph Akafumba, who called for civility among political leaders, has stated that the politics of insults, which made Mr. Kambwili as a hero, has now landed him in problems.
The National Democratic Congress, NDC, has continued in its ongoing back-and-forth affairs, just like it was witnessed during the 2015-2016 general elections among political parties. It has been injunction and counter-injunction, but at this junction, the Akafumba-led camp claims to have the last celebration. As things stand, they are said to have authority over the party by registration as per existing documentation at the Registrar of Societies and pending court restraining orders on the Chishimba Kambwili-led camp. Mr. Akafumba has declared all appointments made by Chishimba Kambwili, including the recent appointment of Savoy Imboela as NDC Vice President, as null and void, as the appointee has no legitimacy to do so.
He has gone back to apologize. But I want to advise him, sir, Bakambwili, that's not enough. You need to apologize to all of us here, the people you misled, and apologize to the Zambian people.
Even to God.
And to God, because what you committed was blasphemy. You asked God to give you an answer where I got to move from. Today, that's where he has gone. All those appointments that were going to be made are declared null and void immediately now.
Yes.
I'm saying so from a firm stand that I am the registered Vice President, but now acting as President of the NDC. If he has any contrary document to show, let him show where he's drawing those powers. Me, I've told you, I'm drawing my powers from this document.
In the meantime, NDC Vice President Edward Mumbi has dispelled claims that the UPND alliance would steer a tribal agenda in the governance system of the country, saying the alliance has a clear development plan for the country. He says Mr. Kambwili's intentions of rejoining the PF are an attempt to influence the outcome of the pending court cases. He is hopeful that the due process of the law will prevail without any interference.
I said in the other part, which he wants to spill the beans, any sensible leader does not talk about the army, our security wings. You don't bring these institutions into cheap politics, the politics we are practicing today. Cheap politics. You want to talk about the army chief, the deputy army commander, you want to talk about the office of the president, HH is going to remove all these people. You don't do that, because that is not true. In removing those people, there is a procedure, even if you are president. We should not involve our military, our special branch, our police, our civil servants in our politics. Civil servants are professional.
And NDC National Chairperson, Father Richard Luonde, also shared his views during the press conference.
For us to be called names and be insulted, they are not insulting us, but insulting the people of Zambia. And God, our Creator, who is saying, "Abana Zambia bachula tefyo na bitira na mutefyo na pangile chalo na pangilo chalo tulabuleka lenshi umutende mulete mwana mulendo rutamprolunga." No, that's what we stand for, and that's why as at now we are the NDC and not him. Him, I could tell him to be a lost sheep.
Efforts to get Dr. Kambwili to comment on these issues could not materialize by broadcast time. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
In other news, President Edgar Lungu's eligibility is back in court, this time around United Party for National Development Katuba Member of Parliament Bumpy Kapalasa wants the Constitutional Court to interpret the constitutional provisions of President Edgar Lungu's eligibility. Mr. Kapalasa has made an application for the interpretation of the expunged provision of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia as to whether the current Republican President Edgar Lungu is eligible to run for what he believes is President Edgar Lungu's third bid term, while taking into consideration Article 106 of 1, 3A, 6A and B of the 2016 of the Constitution of Zambia and Article 31 of 1 and 2 of the 1996 Constitution.
In 2018, the Constitutional Court had ruled in favor of President Edgar Lungu that he was eligible to contest the 2021 general elections. The court, in its judgment, ruled that the presidential tenure from 25th January 2015 to 13 September 2016 does not constitute a full term of office. The court had relied on Article 106, Sub-Article 1 and Article 106, Sub-Article 6 of the 2016 Constitution. However, debate over his eligibility seems to be the story of the day, as the case has been taken back to court, this time around Katuba Member of Parliament Bumpy Kapalasa seeking an interpretation of the provision concerning the eligibility of the President from the Constitutional Court. His argument is that the petition before court is in the interest of the Zambian people. According to him, the application borders on the well-being of Zambians and surrounding countries and intended to avoid violence in the country. The petitioner has made an application for the interpretation of the expunged provision of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia that has to whether the current President Edgar Lungu is eligible to run for the third term while taking into consideration Article 106, 1, 3A, 6A and B of 2016 of the Constitution of Zambia and Article 35, 1 and 2 of the 1996 Constitution. The Member of Parliament says the Constitution of Zambia is not clear whether Article 35, 1 and 2 of the old Constitution as amended by Article number 18 of 2006 was saved in respect of allowing or disallowing the current President Edgar Lungu to run for president of 2 full terms under the new amendment Constitution. He notes that the current Constitution was amended on 5th January 2016 and thereby greatly altering the 1996 Constitution as amended by Act number 18 of 1996, which used to regulate the first presidency of President Edgar Lungu, which the 1996 Constitution had limited without exception. He says there are no transitional provisions in the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia as amended by Act number 2 of 2016 that impose the conditions in the old Constitution to the present Constitution and therefore leaving the applicant and the general public of Zambia confused as to whether actions taken under the old Constitution can be taken under the new Constitution. Further, Mr. Kapalasa says in the interest of justice, the petitioner must be expeditiously heard and a positive interpretation of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia is made to settle the minds of people living in and around Zambia. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Getting into international news, the US, South Africa and European Union will temporarily stop the rollout of the Johnson & Johnson COVID jab after reports of rare blood clotting. Johnson & Johnson has delayed the rollout of its COVID vaccine in Europe after regulators in the United States called for a pause because of safety concerns. The vaccine is marketed under the brand name Janssen in Europe. 6 people who had the vaccine in the US have developed rare and severe blood clots. It has so far been given to around 7 million Americans.
An abundance of caution was cited by US health officials as the reason why they paused the use of the single-shot Johnson & Johnson COVID jab. The vaccine, which in Europe is branded as Janssen, was approved in the US in late February. Since then, there have been 6 incidents of very rare clots in the brain out of 6.8 million doses, so less than 1 case per million people immunised. All were women under 50 One of them died and one is critically ill.
I think this is an unusual occurrence of a serious adverse event that you want to make sure before you go forward, you investigate it thoroughly. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're pausing so that they can look at it more carefully.
Similar, very rare clots have occurred with the Oxford AstraZeneca jab, and scientists are investigating whether this type of vaccine technology could be implicated.
Both of these vaccines used a disabled common cold virus called adenovirus to smuggle the gene from the coronavirus spike protein into the vaccine, into your arm. So they both work in broadly the same way, and that raises the possibility that something about this type of vaccine could be the explanation for this kind of very rare side effect.
30 million doses of the J&J Janssen vaccine are on order for the UK, although it's yet to be approved. It's hoped the delay in the rollout won't slow the vaccination drive here. The biggest concern is globally. The plan was to immunise 1 billion people worldwide with the vaccine this year. If that's disrupted, it will slow efforts to finally bring the pandemic under control.
Well, that international news item brings us to the end of Camnet TV Midday News, but before we go, the headlines once again. President Edgar Lungu's eligibility case back in court. UPND challenges PF General Conference. Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Good afternoon.